Hello everybody, welcome to another stream. How are we all doing? Hope all is going well. So I'm just gonna restart that playlist because it's a newish album and I want to hear it again from the beginning. So there we go. So last stream we went and got most. Oh yeah, we compared the whole code base. So it's had allocations to using on new custom allocator stuff and our new collections, and then we made a start on the keyboard and the keyboard input, right? Um, so let's quickly give a brief recap at a high level what is implemented and what is not implemented. So basically, like in our abstraction, we have these operating system events that we can loop over. Hey there, Rohan. Awesome, good to hear, man. Good to hear. How's the you working on anything in your spare time, like your projects and stuff? How are they going? Um, but yeah, so we iterate over each event, and we get when we call this function, we check our local queue. If it's got any events queued up, we'll just use that one. If it hasn't got any queued up, it will pull from the operating system, convert the events we get directly from X11. It'll process them a little bit and keep some information behind the scenes in the system. For some API, we'll see in just 1 minute. And then it'll give you back it'll repopulate the queue, and then you just read more from the queue again. So you can get stuff like when a key is pressed, when a key is released, some text input, a window resizing, and when the close button is pressed on the window. So one thing this API also has is the ability to, which we haven't tested out yet, is the ability to check whether a key has been pressed, or sorry, is pressed, has been pressed, or has been released this frame. So last stream I forgot to kind of mention that this is an API. So we have both APIs, right? We have the ability to check whether something has been pressed outside of this event thing, but we also retain the event structure from. So we abstract this event event polling system because operating systems will do it this way anyway. So we expose it through the application this way, but we also keep note of like what keys have been pressed, and we can query the state they're currently in for this frame, right? So we have two different APIs basically, and the OS system will keep track of the key presses and that for us. So I guess let's just do a little bit of an example here. Let's do an OS key code of the G key, for instance, right? And then when I press these keys, I want to say that G is pressed. G has been pressed, has been released. Then we're going to test this guy out, and we'll realize that it's not working. We realize that it kind of works. We will need an extra function in there. Working on a consensus protocol for a database project. What's the consensus protocol for? Yeah, I've not really done much. That's one of the areas other than like operating systems. Like, I haven't really sort of delved into too much. But yeah, what is a consensus protocol? So let's see how these look. So let's comment out the render frame, and let's run the game. So it's not going to render anything, right? It's just going to give us a black screen, because if I call the render code, it's just going to go crazy and print out stuff because our shaders will print to the terminal. Okay, so if I were to hold down the G key and then release it. Right, I don't think it's saying anything. Oh my days. Key code. I did key code though. Right, first of all, this key code one is wrong. Second of all, alright. So what we just saw is the fact that it doesn't get reset. And we don't... So this has been pressed and has been released. The state just always stays on. It never gets cleared. So we need to clear this state, but also we use the scan code instead of the key code. Ah, there we go. Copy paste error. This is why. Key code, key code, key code. Right. I think I want to change these names as well. I'm not happy with the names scan code and key code. I think I want to change it for this project. I want it to be a different name. But we'll go over that in a minute. So something that we need to add is we've got these bit sets internally. So what happens is when an event gets queued from the X11 system, like the underlying OS abstraction, it will be like, oh, I've got this key event. So we tell it if it's pressed and we give it the scan code. Now, when we go through here, we basically like set the bit set for like, you know, has the key code, has it been pressed or is it pressed? So wait, it has been pressed. Yeah, then if we release the key, we set the bit for has been released. But nowhere do we clear this bit set. So it just basically, it never gets unset. So we need to have a function which is like OS frame, should we call that frame start? Frame initialize, I guess. Frame init. So we'll call this guy at the start of every frame. Oh, we winning, chill man. Hey, that guy, Dory. Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. We're just doing some core engine bits. But yeah, we're winning. Yeah, things are going really well. We're on day 15. We've got our GPU abstraction. We've got custom allocations. We've got custom global arrays, hash table, object pool. We're just doing some keyboard and mouse input today, doing gamepad next stream. Then moving on to Windows and the Windows implementation of that, the following streams after that. So just getting the core foundation of this game together, but we're winning. Yeah, cool stuff. Having the same color for both strings and function names is a bit annoying, is it? Is it a bit annoying? I don't know, it depends how you want to think about it, really. Because I think the way I thought about it is like the red means that it's like a compile time constant, right? Like it's like in the program. That's the way that I think about it. That's the way I designed it, at least, because it's a custom theme. So anything that's red is like is in the program, whereas anything sort of like yellow is typically part of the language, right? And that's the way I've rolled with it. But yeah. Consensus protocol, Raft, Paxos, etc. Establish a sync between different database unit. Let's say you write two different database units and you need to sync between these units. Right. Yeah, this is some like really high level stuff that I've never thought about. Well, I never sort of like had to deal with, thankfully. But yeah, imagine having all these different server nodes and have to sync the data between it. Crazy. Hey there, Glorious Boomerang Lady. How's it going? Yeah, it's been going good, man. Been going good. We're gonna be going into some sort of like I haven't done gamepad support like by myself. I've always used SDL2 for that, so it'll be interesting to sort of see how what it's like. And then I'll be going into Windows land. I've never done Windows keyboard input extensively. I've done it a little bit, but I don't know. We'll have a bit of a play, see what it's like. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I need the guides. That'd be very helpful, Nadile. If you're around that day, that'd be good. You're gonna enjoy probably doing Windows 32. Yeah, I'm sure I'll enjoy it just as much as Xlib, you know. You know. Hey there, Silvercore, welcome, and hey there, Nadile, welcome, welcome. Don't support Windows. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like I want this thing to be. I want to do an engine from the start where it's multi-platform, and we have people who can follow this on Windows. So yeah, it's good to have a bit of both. Do you have a plan on what you want to implement, e.g., lib input, or do kernel syscalls directly? We're not using those. We're writing it directly on top of X11. Because you can't really go directly to those low levels, I don't think. And there's not much benefit in doing so either, I don't think. Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Da, 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 da. Windows keyboard is very similar to how X11 handles keyboard, at least for the key events sense. Cool, cool, cool. Right. Wayland user. Okay, Wayland. Well, the thing about Wayland is it's always just round the corner. You know, that's the problem. I'm using both. Yeah, so I'm just about to make this change to the naming actually. Yeah, I have physical keys and I have the mapped ones as well. Yeah, I do both. No, you can do gamepad support directly through UDev, I think, or whatever it's called, EVDev. I don't know. I forgot. Things. Um, yeah, so we're going to do a frame initialize. So in the Linux backend, we're just going to plop. Wait, not the Linux backend. In the OS front end, we're just going to do this where we're going to say, okay, memset. Wait. Core 0 array. So we're zeroing the whole array, which is GOS keyboard dot key code has been pressed, released key code. Yeah, so I want to change these names, key code and scan code. We'll be doing that just after we fix this. So now we've got this here. When we press this G key, this is a key code by the way, we're changing the name. So this is the virtual one. This is the one that respects your keyboard mappings. So press the G key. There we go. So it's very fast, the frame updates, to the point where it's a bit crazy. So we're just gonna comment out this one. Run it again. All right, so press the G key. Oh, didn't compile it. There's my face. Right. Yeah, so when I pressed it, the G key, it says has been pressed, and on release it has been released. Right? So what's interesting is we have this event API that we abstract, which is basically just like, so we keep the ability to receive events from the operating system in a way, but we also have the ability to sort of read that information later on and not have to sort of retain it from this manually. We can just have the system keep track of it. We can pull it out from it, which is decent. So something that I want to do though is like really, so we'll leave that in for now. Is this naming key code and scan code? Is I got it from like SDL, and I decided I don't like it. I think what I want is key code, right? And that means the physical key. And then I want virtual key code, which will be for the virtual key. So by default you use key code, which is because by default you should use scan code, because that's what you really care about is the physical key. Like you don't care about the layout of people's keyboard layouts. You just care like what is the physical key press in a game typically, and then we'll say virtual key. So I think I want to do that bit of a rename. But the thing is, you can always transition the scan code to a key code and then turn that into a string and present the, so you save it all in some physical key layout. So that means all the keys stay in the same place no matter the layout. But when you present the key to the user, you can do that translation and give them a nice string for it. So that's what we're going to be doing here, is just make this a bit of a rename. Yeah, libinput extracts evdev, right. Yeah, maybe I can look at that for gamepad, I'm not sure. I'll have a look. I know it's for Wayland as well, maybe. I'll see. Let's have a bit of a look. Libinput. In Wayland compositors and to provide generic Xorg input driver. But is this what applications use or the is a full stack display servers and other applications that need to handle input by the kernel? Hey Sully, you missed everything. Do we have thermal chargers for small things looking for these watches? I have no idea what this means. I have no idea. I have no comments on that. Yeah, that's not my wheelhouse. This is an interesting read. Yeah, because I did hear about libinput before. Yeah, because then it means it could abstract over like Wayland and X11, but I don't know. Oh yeah, Russell. Yeah, awesome. Nadia, thank you so much. Yeah, it won't be next stream, it'll be the stream after. Thank you, Russell, so much. So it won't be Thursday. It might be Sunday or next Tuesday. But yeah, I'll give you a ping in the Discord when I have exact timings. But thank you so much. But yeah, if you're not around, then no worries. We'll yeah, perhaps I'll ask you to drop some of the help in the Discord or something. That'll be useful. But yeah, this is interesting, libinput. But yeah, I know X11, so we'll just roll that way. Yeah, that'd be decent, Adido. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Right, so I think we'll call this a scan. Yeah, so we'll change scan code. Wait, key code. Yeah, so we'll do key code. We've got to be super careful about this though. Key code to virtual key code. Vert key code. I could do the dash confirm thing, and that might be better. Right, so C, put a C on the end, bam. Then it's all about yes and no's. So we say Y, so we say N for this one. You know, I have no idea. I could just change scan code. Alright, let's just look for scan code and just change that manually. That's what we'll do. So we basically going to take these docs, put them down here, and then take these docs, put them up here. Represents a physical key. Respects the following key. Yeah, so when we say scan code here, we're going to say vert key code. Yep. So this means that the word, whenever you talk about keys typically, like we want the most default sounding one to be the one that people gravitate towards. So key code would mean a physical key, virtual key code would mean the sort of respects the actual keyboard mapping. Interesting. So we're going to have virtual key. Vert key code. Alright, where is it? So I bet you that sounds the wrong way around, but we'll sort it out. So you ideally want to avoid using key code to virtual key code. No, it's the other way around. Virtual key code as multiple key codes can map to a single virtual key code. Oh yeah. This function allows you to get one of those this is confusing. Yeah, making an OS abstraction layer. That's right, that's right. Hey there, Davros. Yeah, so we're just doing the keyboard stuff. Now, we started last stream, but we're just doing a bit of a tidy up on what we did last stream, just a bit of a name change. And then we're going to be getting the keyboard modifiers in and mouse support today. And maybe take a look at the gamepad stuff. X record extension library is a formal way of capturing keyboard. Other ways as well. Huh, I've never heard of that one. Extension library? Never heard of this. Yeah, I just use X keyboard, XKB. Capturing all events. Huh. Including input device events. That do not to go. No, anyway. Right, so does this do all core protocol? Yeah, I'm not sure what this does, but it might be something that's a bit. The record extension allows X clients to synthesize input events, which is useful for automated testing. Well, that's not quite. For capturing all events, including input events that do not go to any clients. Right, so it's for capturing like every single event. Right. Fair play, it's interesting. Yeah, it's a bit of a different thing. Have you read the Oracle stuff? No, not at all. And hey, Perry, welcome, welcome. How you doing? Maybe you have a subset of readable in. Maybe you have a subset of this readable in HTC Shaderland for debugging. Yeah. Hmm. I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, I think we want to. We already exposed some of the core stuff, but I'm not sure about the OS stuff. Yeah, like we expose. Like we have a shared header. Core shared. Yeah. So we have this core shared header which allows us to share our type defs between. But I haven't really thought of any operating system-y stuff. Hey there, Rohan. Tier 2. Ooh. Thank you so much for the sub. Really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Welcome, welcome. If the key is held, draw the normals, that sort of thing. But yeah, easy to do with toggles. Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, some of that stuff is interesting, right? We could have it in a shared thing. Um, it is possible. But yeah, you'd have to like having that. Yeah, then it means you can directly write it in the shader as opposed to sort of having a boolean passed in somewhere. But then sometimes it's all about. But then if it's a boolean, it means it can be triggered in many ways, right? Yeah, it's an interesting thought. Because yeah, we already kind of do that sort of do some really interesting debugging stuff like with the printf and that, isn't it? So yeah, there's always a lot of interesting things we can do since we sort of have full control over everything now. But yeah. Right, make sure this is just right. You really want to avoid using virtual key to key code since multiple key codes can map to a single virtual key code. This function ideally is to get one of those key codes. That's right. OS virtual key code. No, we mean key code to virtual key code. Does not have this problem, and you'll want to use this to display keyboard layout respected keys to the user. Strings of the keyboard layout respected keys to the user. Excellent. So, that key code. Vert key code. Vert key code. So we'll just yeah, so just gotta make the rename now. Obviously. Yep, so now just gotta make the following changes inside the C files and respect those. And let me do some key mods. Alright, so this will be vert key code. Vert key code. Oh yeah. Oh, so this one needs to be the Uh, is C a must learner? Skipped a lot being self-taught web dev. Um, if you want to learn C, learn it. Like if you just want to keep doing web dev, just keep learning web dev. But if you want to understand the systems underneath and how things sort of work, and that's something that really interests you, go and do it. Um, but if you want to become a better, but also if you feel like you're hitting a wall in terms of like, you're not learning anything new at web development anymore, come down to the C side of things and you'll be sort of like exposed to a new world of, and you can sort of really learn how does the JavaScript virtual machine work? How does the how do the web browsers how does the web browser render its pages? How does the DOM work? And then you can sort of become a better web dev by knowing those things, right? So yeah, that's what I'll say about that one, really. So we want a key code. Yeah, it's a key code's the new name. This is so confusing converting this because it's very much we switched the namings of key code. Now key code means scan code, but now the old key code is called virtual key code. Get our virtual key code. Key code to vert key code. Key code. Vert key code. Vert key code. And then we switch on the virtual key code, and this will be to do the key modifier stuff in a minute. Just keep going. So this will be key code. Key. Oh. Right, now this is one of those switcheroos. So need to replace scan for vert key code. Very good. Excellent. Right, any more? Good, no more. Now just hop into the OS Linux side of things, the Linux specific layer. Got to change them there as well. So an X7 key code is conceptually the same as R key code, right? They are both represent a physical key mapped the environment dev map. Sorry, why does it say environment dev? I don't know what it's called. EV dev, whatever that is. What does EV dev stand for? So I understand what it is. EV dev. What is it short for? Event device. Okay. Event device. I got this. So map event device. Yes, the event device enumeration to our key code. So this is when we poll the X11 events, right? We poll the X11 events, and if it's a key press or a key release, we turn that into R1, right? We map it into R. From their enumeration into our enumeration. Key code, key code, key code. Very nice. Any more scan codes dot about? Scan code. Ooh, it's interesting. EVDev. Key code to key code map. Reset the key codes to directly map to the virtual key codes. Vert and vert. Key. Right, does this API look confusing? Yes, it does. So the event dev key codes are 8 less than the X11 key codes. Key. Switch around. It says key code to virtual key code. Virtual key code. Virtual key code. Key code. Key sim to virtual key code. To virtual key code. Virtual key code. Oh, it's so easy to get wrong this. Right, nearly there now. So scan code, final one. So of course key code. So key code to virtual key code. Remap key code to virtual key code. Excellent. Oh, there we go. So just got to press F5 now, follow the errors. So let's just get this right. Key code to virtual key code, and then virtual key code. So this gets you a virtual key code. Back out. Excellent. So then scan code is all vert key code. And then this one is key code. Right. Nearly there. Right, just in the main file now. Yeah, it's just a good idea to sort of know how the stuff works underneath the stuff you're using day to day, especially if you're bored and got nothing else to learn, you know, other than some new JavaScript library or whatever it is, right? You know, it'd be like if you really know like the Unreal game engine or the Unity game engine and you're using it to make stuff. A good idea is just be like, right, how does this how does the stuff underneath me work? Because then it can be insightful to my day to day. So we want to change key code. Right. So it's a key code, virtual key code. So yes, I think so. Key code. Right, so we're going to test to make sure this is all good. Vert key code strings. It's no different, but we'll just do that. Right. Okay, fingers crossed this all works. Okay, so I'm going to press keys on the keyboard, right? So remember, I use the Colmac keyboard layout, so it's a bit different. So virtual key code is what the Colmac keyboard is. And then key code is now it's the physical key, so it basically maps to QWERTY. So I'm just going to spell out QWERTY on my keyboard. Well, no, I want to do a key code QWERTY, but it will show as virtual key codes. It will show what it is in Colmac, right? So let's just check that's right. So key code QWERTY, QWERTY. Okay, and as you see, the text input has come out as QWFPGJ, and so has the virtual key as well. Okay, so that's good. That works. So if I press the G, it's scan code G, isn't it? So scan code G is D on my keyboard. There you go. It says G has been pressed, because that was that thing there that has been pressed, has been released thing. So awesome. So now we've actually converted that all over. That's really good. So I think we'll commit this because it's tested out the API. So now I've got this event API, and we've got the ability to read the state back later and not get it back as an event. That you have the choice, basically. So let's just, there we go, get this back in action. Git status. Git commit -a. So basically we've like rename key code to virtual key code and scan code to key code. Right, that was very painful to get that right, but we did it now. So there we go. Right, so next thing we want to work on is key modifier support. So we haven't got key modifiers in just yet. So I do want to take a look at an old version that I've done. But basically, like, we have a good way of checking if a key has been pressed and everything like this. But what we don't have is a simple bit of state alongside it, just to know, hey, is the shift key held down? Hey, is the control key held down? Which is very useful information, right? Because it's sort of like, especially when you know, these are key modifiers, meaning, you know, it modifies how the key that you're pressing, you know, it's like shifting up to another layer of, yeah, you know, feel like the shift key in a sense. It's like it shifts the keyboard into a whole new plane of possible, or it's a whole new layer of the keyboard, right, with different keys technically, right? So having the ability to, like, especially when you're reading the events and you know, reading these guys, it's good to be able to know, like, what key modifiers are pressed at this time. So I believe we want to use like a bit set. No, a bit field. What's the word? Bit fields? No. Flags. That's it. We use some bit flags. So let's get those in there. So let's go and get an old version out. So this is my window abstraction layer, which I've sort of used in past projects. But yeah, it's not been, you know, it's got all sorts of good stuff in here, like being able to check the displays and everything, and what resolution they're at, and all of that. It's got its own event system. It's basically like a kind of like a smaller SDL in a way. But it hasn't got gamepad support, so that will be very new to me. So let's take a look at how we did the key modifiers. Right. Okay. So let's take this and put it here and just have a bit of a look at it and judge if this is what we want. So key mod. So, you know, 2 bits. Yeah, let's just go with the flow here. Alright, there we go. So we used we used 2 bytes, that's what I meant. Bits and bytes, they're the worst. Why can't it just be something else? Right. So 2 bytes of information, we get this left and right shift, but also we have to tell if any shift is pressed, right? So really we should also extend this and just be like shift, right? Because you might just care if a shift is pressed, and having to check both is just effort, right? So then you also might want to check if just a control is pressed. So, oh my days. 12. Right, C. There we go. Good old C. Alt. Bits and bytes and bytes. Or Ocklet. Yeah. Or nibbles. That's the other one, isn't it? That's like, a nibble means like half a byte. It's great. It's great terminology. It's like 4 bits. Hmm? Yeah, that's it. Oh, Pepsi Max is good. Yeah, hey Zaka. Yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing next stream. Next stream is the controller. We'll be doing the gamepad. Maybe we'll be able to do some research this stream on it. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting because it's my first time doing it. Basically, I've just used SDO in the past, you know. Uh, Caps lock, num lock. Oh, imagine having some interesting game mechanics. If you have the num lock key down, it does something in your game. Or the caps lock key is down. That'd be interesting. or if you press like some of the real useless keys on your keyboard that are just there, and you get some hidden Easter egg in your game. Yeah, I know some don't have it. Yeah, but you get some Easter eggs, right? Like those silly ones at the top, like yeah, the scroll lock, pause break. Um, yeah, just the real weird ones. That'd be weird. To be fair, using something like GLFW save a ton of time. I don't know. GLFW is like it's like the like from what I've experienced in the past, it's like a less incomplete version than SDL2. Like SDL2 just does way more stuff. Um, but yeah, but the best thing about doing it yourself is you can do it the exact way you want it. Because using SDL, they don't have this sort of stuff where you can keep no the key has been pressed. You have to write your own little thing on top of it to do it right and keep track of it. But I can build it right into the system this way, and I can cut corners by any. I'm only gonna have one operating system window for now, but if I want another one, I'll add it in, right? But we're not doing multiple window support for now, and probably for the longest time. You know, it is true that you can really save time, and if you're just doing your first game or whatever, it's a very good thing to use GLFW or SDL. But since we're doing it all from scratch and I've done it in the past, and um, yeah, I just feel like it's just as easy just to go ahead and do it, because The problem is if I use SDL2, yes, I can get the pre-built binaries, but if I want to build it from source, it also takes time, and like, you know, it just adds complication. Whereas if I just build it into my game, it's just part of my game, and I can build it the same way as the rest of my game builds. So there's pros and cons, right? But again, it's part of the ethos of this project, right? Can we build it all from scratch without basically any other libraries? Obviously, we use some nice single header libraries, but GLFW, SDL, they're not nice single header libraries. They're kind of big, complicated libraries that take longer to compile than they should do, right? Um, but yeah, yeah, yeah. If you're doing your first engine, definitely. Like, I wouldn't say do it this way. But if you want to learn equally, do it that way, right? A lot of AAA well-known engines use STL as no shame in using them. It's quite the opposite, really. But if you really want to build your own stuff, that's great too. Oh, so cool. Yeah, that's another one. Hey, Don. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. But yeah, pros and cons to both ways. Um, but yeah. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Yeah, ban Don. He stole the stream title. How's things going, Don? Right, so I think this is good enough. So we got this key mod thing. Let's take a look at how we did it before as well. So key mod. So I think we should have a way of querying the current key mod state. Interesting, it's a bit set, so you can check multiple keys at a single time. How amazing is that? So yeah, we'll have this sort of thing. So we'll have this is pressed, has been pressed type of deal. But keyboard key mod is pressed. Something like that. Yeah. So we can check hey if see, this isn't good. What we should get back is the bit set itself. And the reason is, right, is because you might want to check if one of them is set or if all of them is set. We don't know. So we give that to you, the user. So you can be like, you can check the bit set yourself and check if, not have to do like a logical and, right, and call it twice. And that really makes things better. That'd be really cool. What other things does this key mod need to be in? Obviously in the event structure for the key press. Maybe make overloaded versions of key pressed and add mod to it. That's an interesting take. No, it's interesting. Because it could shorthand things, right? It's shorthanding stuff. But basically, like, yeah, it's interesting. It's a convenience. I think, like, because basically what you're doing is internally that overloaded version will be calling this and this, right? And then doing an and or something. But yeah, maybe. I'll think about it when I actually write code that uses this. We'll see if that becomes a common pattern. But yeah, I don't know. The logic might need to be different. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see with the C's. So basically, all we're going to be returning is what is stored. Wait, do we? Oh my days, did we do the correct thing? Where's the event? Yeah, so I want to uncomment this. Get the key mod in there. Oh yeah. So that's about it. So what I want to be doing is, let's close that. So we need the internals. OS internals. Linux internals? No. The operating system internals, one that's shared between all the OSs. Because we've got the backend in here, which will have the backend specific data. So we've got the keyboard. And in the keyboard, we want to have the bit set. So OS key mod. And this would be the sort of like key mod is pressed bit set. And you know, maybe we should call it bit set at the end, right? Maybe we should say bit set, because that way it's like it returns the bit set, right? So it's a bit easier to yeah. Has been pressed, has been released. There we go. So when we call that reset thing again, or is it frame initialize, isn't it? Yep. We want to just say GOS keyboard key mod is has been pressed equals 0. Just clear that boy out. So, you know, we could also have a none. I do like having a none when you have bit sets, you know. Yeah, so we can specifically say that, right? And then that's on the released one. Okay, so that's good. So we've got to go to those where these are going to be implemented. Grab that word there. Go to this one, and we just want to chuck the word bitset on the end of these, and then we want to just simply return that, right? These are our public getters. Oh yeah, encapsulation. Crazy. Keyboard, key mod. My college professor would be proud. Look at this encapsulation right here. So, I don't know what to. Right. Yeah. So now it's got a way to actually put data in here. Oh, clean code. Oh. Yeah, it's really funny how the guy who came up with clean code, I keep forgetting his name. He'll like phrase like a very like general sounding thing and then give it this very specific meaning and then like really confuse the crap out of the industry. Oh yeah, 4 lines, yeah. Yep, like you can barely fit an if statement in there. So yeah, we just need to populate these things as well. So when we have that key press event that comes from the operating system, right? Sorry, key. Something to do with the this one. So when the key has changed, we can use some key change from the operating system. So if we just view where this is done, so when we process the X11 events, and it's a key press one, we sort of translate it from the X11 key code into this event device key code, so evdev, and then we turn that into our own key code, right? So it's just take 8, then we run it for a lookup table, which converts it from one enum to our enumeration. And then we throw that into this function, which will be called in the Windows abstraction as well. And then this basically handles whether or not it's a key repeat. This also handles whether or not it is a, it also, so we get the virtual key code. Key modifier. Yes, this is where we convert our virtual key code into our modifier. So meta is the super key, or aka the Windows key. I really hate all of these names, because some people call it like a Windows key, other people call it like a super key. And then I stole this from like SDL uses the same name, meta key, but I think it's called that in the USB spec. So no, we'll keep meta for now. So yeah, this is something we need to add as this key mod thing. So now if the key is pressed, mark the key code, virtual key code, and key mod as pressed in the keyboard state, else mark it as released. So we're just going to release this key mod thing, do the bit set like that. Okay. Oh, it has been. Yep. Same here with this one. Mod 4 is Windows key. Oh, that's another one, isn't it? Yeah, mod 4. Fantastic. Then you can use like mod whatever it is for the alt key. Whatever is pressed right now. So return that. Set there. Oh yeah. So mod, we call it like a mod bit set. Right, the modifier bit set. Something like that. Wait, that's in the old Windows abstraction there. Get out of here with that. Be back with that one. Where's the event? Oh yeah. So, I believe that's everything in place for the key modifiers. So, what we'll be able to do is have a bit of a play with that one. So we're going to go ahead and go into the main and see how it goes. So we kind of want to know whether it is a repeat. Is repeat S. So that's based on whether or not event key is repeat question mark. True, false, right? Good old ternary operator. What else? We also want to know event key mod bit set. So I don't know, where should this go? Mod bit set, and then we'll do hex. Just some hex like that, yeah. 0x. Excellent. So we'll just copy paste that, put it there, call it released. And then we get to have a bit of a play and just see how that rolls. Mod 1 is alt. Perfect. Uncle Bob and the gang of Bob Burke has screwed the code for every company. Yeah. It's crazy how I was thinking literally this morning, like, what it's taken me to get to where I'm at now has been a very sort of like crooked path, you know. Um, and I think the reason why a lot of this like low level stuff is deemed as hard is just because simply the teaching material around it is basically nothing or not good. When you hang around with people who like are in this space and sort of like know things in this area, it's so easy to sort of like understand it's so easy to learn this stuff. Um, the problem is just the information is so scattered that it's quite difficult. But when you sort of like have a community of people, it really becomes like a lot easier to figure out like what is good and what is not good when it comes to this low level side of things, and also what is supported on different platforms and what is um, how to write more elegant code and all this stuff, right? Or different design patterns when it comes to programming. Um, APIs with different domains, like. But yeah, just the stuff you get taught in school is never doesn't really help get into this sort of space at all. Hey VMT, hey Joe Mega, how you guys doing? It's been the path paved by blood, sweat, and tears. That's right, and man pages. Gotta love a good man page, and the occasional Linus Torvalds email. That material is use the source, Luke. Oh, it is. I love the Star Wars puns. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Yeah, just use the longest line possible for the cleanest code ever. Yep. Put it all in one line. That'd be super great for a debugging experience. Right, what are we trying to do now? Yeah, we're trying to test these bit sets, these key mob bit sets and things like this. Right, so I'm gonna run the game now. Right, this is not the game we want to run, because as much as it's very awesome having printf from the shader and everything, it's just too much in my face right now. So we're gonna get rid of the graphics. It'll come back, I swear. So now we've got this super lovely, black screen, and we've got a terminal just telling us all the answers. So what we want to test is like, okay, so if I press the H key on my keyboard, turns out it's the same as it is in Colmac as it is in QWERTY. And the key, there's no repeat there and there's no key held. So if I were to hold the H key and then release it, we'll get some key repeats, right? So now if I hold down the control key, it doesn't repeat that key press because it's a key mod. And then if I press the H key, what we get is we get this 4-0 here, which matches this left control. We hold the right control as well. We get this C, right? Then really down there, C0. But then if I release it, there's an 8-0 because that just means the right key mod is held. So yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. So if it holds shift, it's just a 1. And hold the right shift, it's a 2, but then it combines to a 3, right? Then if I hold shift and press H, we get that there. So it's all looking good. Awesome. What's the so this is key modifiers now done. So let's make a nice little commit for that as well. Git commit -a, add key modifier support. There we go. Not too bad, not too bad. Learning material for X11 as a whole protocol spec. Is the whole protocol spec, love it. Yeah, the thing is, I've not really looked into the X protocol stuff. I've sort of seen it as I've played around with X. But I've really learned it by just Googling for different sample codes and see different libraries and see how what function calls they use and what sort of like X11 extensions they use, because reading through the header files is not always clear with X11 either, which is a shame. I was impressed by discipline, although suppose you've done something similar before, it's easier 15 days without exciting visuals. Sure. I don't know, like I do very much like a, you know, I think it depends. You know, it depends what type of person you are. Some people really like I'm very much a person who likes to see visual feedback when I program. Like I like graphics. I like seeing graphics. I like programming a thing in a game and seeing it happen on the screen. Um, and if and just sitting in code all day, um, you know, isn't something I like doing. But I've done this before many times. But yeah, it's just something I've learned to tolerate. Really, is not having some visual feedback for a period of time. But yeah, it's something I very much I do like having seeing something visual. Um, but yeah, like um, I've just broken. I just sort of have this intuition on, and now I've sort of concretely defined like what are the steps are to get to this graphics R&D that we'll be doing. That doing getting down in the engine code is not, and I've done it many times before, is not really feeling too much of a problem. I also know what corners to cut as well, so we're not spending too much time down here, right? But we are still learning stuff while we're doing it. I'm not just in something completely everything I know, right? We're doing gamepad support next stream. We're doing Windows support after that, which I've never done. But we're getting some help from the stream, which is from the chat, which is good. Yeah, it's pretty well some of the extensions. X is really insecure. Yeah, I just been told about there was a record, X record, something something, and you can like see every single key event, even ones that are not logged, or even ones that are not actually sent to clients. Yeah, it sounds very insecure. I started using my engine code about a year ago, and now doing something visual. Excellent. Yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes, and that's what you want to. You know, sometimes I've spent ages just writing compiler code just to then get it working, and that's definitely the wrong way of doing it. To really get something with feedback as early as possible and incrementally build the features on top of it. That's that's why I imagine writing kernels would be annoying to me. Yeah, to you. Yeah, exactly. Me as well. I need some dopamine boost to keep me going. Exactly. Yeah. I think I spent about a week just designing and implementing my input system. A month, not a week. Well, you probably said it would take a week, and then it took a month, right? That's the typical programming thing. That's how I'll do it all the time. But that would take a week, or a month later. Now you're more confident with it. You can be more sure that you'll get where you're planning to go. Yeah, like I know when I know what I can achieve basically. It's just whether a case of uh, it's just I've really got to be careful of like whatever the thing is we decide to make is that we don't overscope. Like we want to build something small first that we can then perhaps build a version 2 of, which would be bigger, and not try and like not, because it's so easy to just to build the biggest game possible. I think you can do that. And we need to really try and find something very, that can just exercise the technology that we have, and build just enough the tools that we need to get something that we can make and finish. Um, yeah. Oh, it's great watching your CPIs come together. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm really enjoy what's coming out of this. And since some very likely both autism and ADHD, it would be just slowing down, but the autism keeps me working on it. Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I think I have some personality traits where I just like get quite addicted and honed in on stuff. But yeah, I really thought too much about it really. Um, right. Next, mouse support. So again, we're going to take a look at how we've done it in the past because it's great to iterate on top of pre thought out ideas. Because one of the biggest things is I could go and just think about it now, but it's not going to be as good as what I've done before because I've iterated on that and made it into this library, which was the window abstraction layer. This thing we've got open here. So then what we want to do is really iterate on top of that and design for this project, right? So let's take a look. Because as we saw the key mods, we thought about it and was like, hang on a minute, this is not as good as it could have been. So let's look at this mouse input stuff. So the mouse input as well, it's a bit like with the key mods. We can make it a bit set because there's very limited range of keys. And I guess there could be more in some way, but anyway. So let's have I know you can get like 7 and 8 key mice, but typically you only really have these ones. All the mice I typically buy have left, right, middle, forward, back. That's about it really. So what we want to do is we've got a keyboard section. Let's make a mouse section. And then what we're going to do is so let's find all the bits and bobs that we want, examine it, and then implement it behind the scenes. Getting in the zone isn't the easiest, but when I'm in it, wow, it really goes. I don't know though. I think sometimes a lot of these, and I know I mentioned it before last stream when we spoke about it, but I think a lot of these ADHD things and that can be seen as like excuses and barriers. So I think a lot of the time, even if you have that, you should accept the way you are. You should always try and improve. Like for instance, I'm really bad at English, but I shouldn't accept that I'm bad at English and just not improve, right? I should try that a little bit harder and be better at it. I should really put in the effort to get better at that. Obviously there's some real physical issues that people have who are really mentally like limited. And I guess those can be exceptions. But yeah, it's really difficult. It's a spectrum, so but yeah. Let's look at some mouse stuff. Yeah, so I think we'll take these. These are interesting. Right, so with this API that we're looking at, oh my days. Right. So basically we didn't have we had this weird vector thing, but we have vectors built in now. Right, so it's just this one wants to be an integer one. So it's just S32 times 2. Right, there we go. So chuck a couple of voids in there. Right. And And then we're simply just going to have a U8, I guess. Is it a good idea to just have a U8? You could have more keys. That's 8 keys though. Seems fine, right? So I think that's fine. So I think what we want to do, again, we'll return, rather than Boolean, we return the bit set. Okay. And then what are these guys here? So they're, get the current mouse position on the screen, get the relative position, right? Where was it last frame? Where is it this frame? Give me the difference. Give obviously, and the other one is same with the mouse wheel. The mouse wheel only gives you a relative scroll, right? It never gives you an absolute position of like a number. It's always relative. So yeah, we're going to have these, but we're also going to have events as well. So we're going to go and take a look at that API. So with the event API with the mouse, what sort of stuff do we have? So we're going to need this sort of stuff. So bring that into the internal header. So we're going to have different ways of queuing events. Let's get rid of these. So X and Y for the mouse position. That will sort out all the relative stuff and all of that. If a button has been pressed, and also if the mouse wheel has moved. So there's a X and a Y version of that. There you go. Very nice. So that's more of internal kind of things, to be honest. You know, I guess they were public because technically the game, this was a general library that we could say, oh, the game could make up its own key events and stuff like this and submit it to the system, right? Which is interesting because imagine if you recorded the keyboard input and then you could play it back at a certain time. And then you can have a replay system, right? So that's kind of interesting. So maybe, obviously, we'll think about that when we actually need it, but having it exposed publicly, kind of interesting, right? So yeah, we'll think about that. I'll keep that stored in the back of my mind as per usual with many ideas. So we're going to now get this these two events here. So for mouse button presses and releases and mouse wheel. Mouse wheel moves. Let's just call it mouse wheel, right? Why make it that long? Terrible. So go down to the event. So my input system has a thing to emulate to emulate inputs. Ooh. What do you mean? Yeah, because I know you've got quite an extravagant input system. I think you've got like a you've got like a you've got a hardware interface layer, isn't that right? But yeah, I would like to hear more about this. Definitely sounds different to what I've typically seen. So mouse button pressed, mouse button released. We also want a different event for mouse wheel. Like just mouse wheel in general, right? Yep. So mouse wheel S32 OS mouse buttons button bit set. I think that's good, right? So I think this is everything interface wise. So we can go ahead and now bring this, implement this inside the internals and that. So one thing to take note is we obviously want this bit set So this is the OS internal. So this is the thing that's shared across all of the backend implementations, and the backend, like Linux, comes in and fills in this this data, and then we simply give this data back out when the user asks for it. So we obviously want to have a new one for the mouse here. It's an event-based system that's inspired by UE enhanced input. Yeah, I think I remember maybe you telling me about this. Maybe, I'm not sure. OS mouse buttons. So we want the buttons bit set. Wait a minute. Buttons. Button is pressed. And is it buttons or button? Buttons is pressed. There we go. Should that be key mods? Key mods. Key mod is pressed bit set. Button is pressed bits. It's a button is pressed bit set. Yeah, I think it's like that. That's good. Right. Button is pressed bit set. Button has been pressed. Bit has been pressed. And then released. Okay. Now we also want to keep track of the current state of things, right? So what is the current X, Y, and Z position? Now, there's S32s, there's U32s. Let's keep some of this. Yeah, let's return S32s because then you can do the subtraction. So we want kind of the current position of this stuff. We also want the sort of the wheel. Wait, is that right? No, it's not right. It's the current position. That's what we want. And then maybe we'll record a relative position as well. Yeah, we'll do that. That'd be amazing. So I think that's it from what I remember. I might be missing something. Should we check in the window abstraction layer and see how well my memory served? X, Y. Okay, there's a relative X, Y. Yeah, we basically got it right. We do need the wheel one. We need a relative wheel because it will be accumulated over the events. So you clear it at the start in frame start. So in frame initialize, what you do is you clear it all out, right? So you zero. But we need a mouse button none. G OS mouse. Oh, I got the mouse in. Alright, in a bit, Don. See you soon, my friend. Enjoy the meetings. Alright, let's take a gander at the gel mega. You're cursed. I'll pop into your channel and management surround me. They just left and now I have 3 minutes left. No, see you, Don. Huh? Oh, you got it on GitHub now. Look at it. The open sources. Ooh. The gel mega source code. Here we go. Interesting. Right, we can now browse it. Amazing. Emulate key press. Oh, you got the time in there as well. Timestamps. That's interesting. Something we should probably look at. Pretty simple to emulate a key. It's basically keyboard.press. So you do keyboard.press and you lock your key changes. do your key change at a certain time. Right, and then but when you read it back, so when you do keyboard.tick, you go over your key changes and check if the time or something has been something like that. Handle times, key timers. Oh, time to keep the key pressed. Right, so it's not timestamps. Okay. Mmm. Mmm. Right. So you have your key changes, and when you say tick, you iterate in reverse, and you decide whether or not to pop them off or something. Oh no, you clear them afterwards anyway. Fair play. You got some nice text input as well. Only the last key state change is handled. Oh, because then does it break, does it? No. Hmm. But yeah. Press and release in the same frame will basically result in nothing and keep the pressed and release event in a single frame. Fair. Nice. But yeah, I'll need to sort of read it more to understand. I'll keep that open. Maybe take a browse at it. It's interesting. Thank you. But yeah, because I obviously until we need it, it's not worth like designing it in any way, right? So we're not obviously going to put any of this emulation stuff. But yeah, it's interesting to see the approaches for sure. Right, so I want to clear this. Oh, not that bugger. When you pass over it, basically the initial implementations are most super bugs. Yeah. Don't worry. All software has bugs. Yeah, all software bugs. But not Rust code, right? Rust code never has bugs, you know. Bug free. Um mouse OS mouse buttons none. Oh yeah. Hmm. So yeah, now we also want to make sure we reset those relative mouse things, right? So position obviously stays there. Relative position though, we'll clear this one out. So S32 times 2 of 0, 0. Iron oxide is a bug free. Compile time. I'm not sure if I get the joke. I'm sorry. Mouse will. I think that's good. Yeah. So now we're going to accumulate these when we read the events. We just accumulate this data. So we'll just essentially add to the. Wait. Maybe. Right, I'm gonna take a look at the previous implementation. He's Rust. Oh, he's getting around the. Oh, he was getting around the filter. That's good. Clever. I get it. Right. Interesting. Right, is bug free at compile time? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but all those runtime things, yes. Right, so we did clear out those relatives there. That's good, that's good. So now let's go to implement some of this other stuff. So X11, this is what we want. We want to get the, so let's go to key press. Excellent. So we're in the X11 loop. So someone was telling me the other day that there's X input. Should we quickly do another? There's X input 2, I think. But I don't know what its benefits are because I think when I was reading it, it's like to do with, it's good for like touchscreen stuff, basically. But I don't know if we need it. Yes, you can do. Okay, what is this? Is there a way to detect if a mouse has been moved anywhere on the X server or keyboard event occurred? I need to react to the user doing anything with X11 input devices. I need it to manage and detect events in my own window using GTK. Yes, I can do this using X input to a complete but rather small tool. Does this? Cursor events can be found. Using X input has multiple benefits. No need to consistently poll for the position. Resource sufficient. Does not interfere with break applications like selecting mouse events on all windows would. Yeah, so I don't think we need that exactly. Well, you don't get easy using X input 2 is an exact position, but you can query it when you need. But my understanding is that you don't need it anyway. What? Do you need the exact position like always? Select events. Yeah, that's not really much code. It's just saying raw motion, raw key press. Maybe we should look at it, see what happens. Yeah, is anyone familiar with using X input 2 over just the bog standard X11 stuff? Does anyone sort of use this at all? But yeah, I don't know if this is going to be decent. We'll check the header for it. User include X11 X extensions XI2, I guess that's it. X input 2, ta-da! So you've got these different events. You've got like, right. I use X input 2, sure. I've used it for a specific method, presumably. You receive all input, not just being sent to your application window. Right. Oh, so you can see it outside of your window. Yeah, I don't know if we need that, to be honest. So here's all the stuff for it. Button states. Yeah, I don't know if we need that, but you've definitely got an enter event and a leave event still. But Yeah, it might be used. I don't know. It does like touch stuff though, doesn't it? And gestures. I doubt we're ever need to do that. Actually, my keyboard implementation is so kind of special, as it has a special mode panel text input, but needs to make sure it actually does what it needs to do. Yeah, I've done a similar thing to what SDL does, where it gives you the every time you press a key, it gives you the text character for that key. So if you hold like the Alt key and press some keys, it'll give you the special stuff that you would get. How long have I been programming? For about 13, 14 years. But yeah, I think we'll skip this X input 2 purely because I don't know it, and I think we can get away with what we've got here. So we'll have to think about that. Also, it's getting dark. I've been programming for like 2 hours. 2 hours time. You don't handle the Alt plus opcodes yet. Yeah. It's not too difficult to actually do it. You just have to you can read it directly from X11, I know, but I don't know what it's like on Windows, so it's going to be a right bugger to find all that out. But yeah, I'll get some help along the way, I'm sure. Right, so focus in and focus out. If the window's been grabbed, then ignore. Keyboard focus change. We don't care about that, do we? Shoot. This is interesting. Do we? They want to know when a mouse enters and when a mouse leaves. Then we also want to know when a keyboard focuses and keyboard. Yeah, we want to know this stuff. So should we get this in? So we definitely want keyboard focus and keyboard, like, yeah, focus leave, focus enter, mouse leave, mouse enter. Right, we're gonna get these ones in. So let's find our event. Right, so mouse enter, mouse leave. Focus enter, focus leave, key focus. Should we just call it key focus? Enter, leave. So we kind of want these. I don't know what I want to do with it, to be honest. We'll just stick up there. Key focus. It's kind of keyboard. Okay, so we're gonna drop those in there as well. Window key. Yeah, similar to that. Raw input this. About raw input. There are many used input devices, traditional keyboard mouse. For example, user can come from joystick, touchpad, microphone. Oh my days, microphone. As human interface devices. Oh my days. So you reckon like raw input? Oh my days. Yeah, maybe have a read about this as well. Yeah, I remember you saying you did the HID library for it. Yes, this is the way. Excellent. Yeah, I'll give this a read. Like, It's interesting, how does this map to like Linux and stuff? Like, what are these guys? Because this seems like it does. Maybe it's not. Yeah, because maybe you got like a whole library for it. Yeah, that'd be cool. hmm Um, yeah, it's not doing multiple windows for now, so we'll just say like it's kind of like window, whatever focus isn't it yet? Window. It's kind of a windowy thingy. So we'll do window. Window, mouse focus, window, keyboard. Blah 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 blah. Right, so I guess we can just do that. So basically, what's there stuff? There we go, in the right order now. No, it's not. Down there. Good. Right. So you want to just say like is focused, basically, right? So, all right. So we'll get these in quick. Get the mouse one. The mouse one, we won't implement the mouse just yet. We'll put them in. All right, get those there at the ready. So what we're going to be doing here is simply just, I guess do something like this, right? So if is focused, OS event type, window, keyboard focus, enter. If not, it's the leave one. Excellent. Cool. Then we're doing down here, keyboard gets turned into mouse. Mouse. You know, let's keep the consistency. Let's just swap those around quickly. Right. Very nice. So, yeah, because we was looking at the internals and we found keyboard focus. Well, what? Okay, so we'll wire these up in just a minute. So let's go and implement these. Right. The fact that the mouse has been moved. The fact that the also let's do S32 times 2 to this new position. Right, let's do that. Then in case you're interested, here's a link to it. Awesome. Thank you very much. There we go. And for HD info, basically generated data comes from this. I see Linux. Right, so it's directly piggybacking off of USB stuff. Right, okay. If you want to use raw events from XI2, yeah, for Xinput 2, use in case you're windowed. You need to translate those to window coordinates. Oh yeah, yeah. So they're in your virtual display coordinates, aren't they? Yeah. To window, fair play, fair play. Got 92,000 lines of code in my total project. Almost 27,000 of them is generated. HID day. Oh my days. Yeah, I don't know what that means. But to the root window, right? Yeah, I'm not going. I don't think I'll be doing the. But yeah, it's good to remember that though. Yeah, we're not going to do X input 2 for now. We'll see if we need it. If we come across a problem where it's like, right, we'll use it, we'll do that. But for now, we'll just do the basics. Do the. I think someone was saying that you don't get spammed with events, but I don't know if that's true. I don't know what they mean, what exactly what they meant by that. Relative X. Something like that. Just close the main, get rid of that. Right. So let's plug these boys in. So we're going to go into the... Right, so we're going to get all these focus ins and all of this stuff. Enter, notify. Right, these are the sort of ones we want. So we'll take all these are the focus ones. Let's get these in. So we're in the X11 backend. So we're just getting the next event. Doing like these if defs, sorry, these if else statements. I could have used a switch really, but anyway, life. Life. The HTTP data is basically USB HTTP usage pages and these pages for all the registered vendors and their products, right? So you can plug in like anything you want basically and get access to it, but yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure how useful that's going to be. But I see it could be useful that you might have a specific controller with specific sort of features that you can program in because you know it, right? You can be like, oh, this is a PlayStation 5 controller, therefore I can read this other thing from it or whatever, I guess. Just a guess. Right, so when you enter, we want to say, hey, the mouse focus has changed to true. They've entered. Then what we want to do is set the X and Y and relative XY. For example, if you get vendor 18D1 and that product 5033, I know it's the Google Pixel earbuds, right? Oh, and you get the string data as well, and you can tell people things. Fair play. Yeah. Yep. Oh, you can make Easter eggs in your game if you hook up certain devices. That'd be amazing. That'd be also very weird. Set X, Y, so X. Yeah, so we set the X and Y here, so that our relative X and Y. Set position here, so that relative position. So these little quotes here, you see, will be 0 when we push on this mouse event. Wait, do we do like a mouse moved event? Oh, shoot. Mouse moved. Did we miss doing the mouse moved event? And also, shouldn't some of these just use the vector ones anyway? Now width and height is just fine. Oh, it's just called moved. Classic. So I guess moved would be like, oh, the window moved or the mouse moved, right? But yeah, I don't know. I think we'll just have a separate structure for that, right? U32, U32, S32, S32. So, you know, for this one, it might be interesting to do X2 pause. No, let's do S32, right? Doesn't matter. And then S32 times 2 relative position. You'll typically want that. Alright, now we're there. Okay. So what we want to do in here is set GOS.mouse pos dot or equal to s32 times 2 crossing x crossing y. Xe crossing x crossing. Yeah, so basically like the X11 has an event structure like ours. It's like a union, and X crossing is the union that will be, well, the way the data that is set in this. This structure is the one that we should look in to get the information about this event, which is the enter notify event, right? So that's all it is. We get the X and Y of where it entered, and then we can say, oh, the thing has moved. OSQ this one for moved. We just then want to do a max. We then want to do like I max it with 0 basically. Wait a minute. Ah, I'm kept paying. Thank you so much for the sub. Really appreciate it. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, feel free now you're a Twitch subscriber. You can hop over and grab the code. Just follow that link there. And yeah, thank you so much for the support. Appreciate it. From 27,000. Crazy. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yep. Gotta get all these little baby things. We've got some. Yeah, it's starting to feel like a lot more real now, where the baby stuff, or baby clothes, and everything is around, and the sort of their room is coming together now. Yeah, so it's becoming a lot more real now, you know. Core max. So I maxed it with 0. Why did I max it with 0 again? Right. So you're passing in, this is where it's moved to. We could clamp it within the bounds of the window. Because I get... This is not good. I think what you want to do is... Because the whole idea is it would be 0. So you just pass in mouse.pos in there. Then this becomes the sort of maxed one, right? Where make sure it's not negative. That's better. So the other one is now when you leave. So you got the leave notify. And it's basically the same sort of thing. You have this focus change. So what happens is you get the focus event first, followed by a mouse move event that puts the mouse in that certain place. Then this other one gives you a move. See, I feel like we've got to clamp it within the window regions, you see, or the window sizes. So really I feel like we've got to do like a G. A GOS dot window dot size dot x, right? Really? -1? Is it really -1 or like... Yeah, I think that should be fine. But then it's like each backend has to do this, right? Each backend has to say... Each backend has to do the clamp. That should be fine. Maybe we should have a way to... set a mouse position and it automatically does this, right? You can say set, but then it will do the relative as well, which is the problem. But anyway, we'll think about that later. I don't know. Maybe it's fine. Anywho, so this next one is like different integers. What integer is that? U32. Right. And then we do this mouse moved. And then afterwards we say, hey, if the window is being grabbed, then ignore. Alright, so double check we ain't done anything. Yeah, we should have a bit of a think about this. We'll have a bit of a play when we get this implemented and see. So this next one is to do with the actual keyboard, so it's focus in. So this means the keyboard event in X11. So again, if this mode is being grabbed, then we ignore. Now this next one is OS event Q, keyboard focus changed. Oh wait a minute, this one needs to say false. Up there, right? Because we left, say leave. We say true here. And then this one down here is focus out. Then we obviously grab this again, do the same thing there. Then this one is saying false. Bear in mind all these breaks that I see, we've got to change because break is, we don't want to break because break is all about breaking out of the for loop. So, sorry, the while loop that we're in. And we've got if statements now. So really what we need to do is we need to say, just inverse this, right? There we go. So we're just going to do a not. Like that. Same thing again. Cool. Yeah, so this is the focus stuff. We'll test it all at the same time. Let's get the mouse stuff in now. Bring that stuff in. So the mouse stuff is done with mouse motion, I believe. Okay, motion notify. That's the net. So then it's done with X. Then use the X motion. So it's a bit of a play with that one. So what's interesting is we could just clamp it inside the call, I think, because otherwise you're doing it every time. Yeah, I think we want to do this clamp inside the mouse moved thing. So we'll sort that in just a second. Let's plug it all in and we'll do the change. So we're looking for a mouse notify, and then that'll be a. So we won't do the clamp anymore, but we'll keep it around in the other code just in case. So this would be an S32 times 2. X, Y. Okay. Cool. So we've got that one there. The next one, so we've got mouse move, we need the mouse wheel. Mouse wheel and what was the other one? Mouse moves wheel and buttons. Right, so as there's button press, button release, this is mouse button. Get this one. So if the button is equal to, if it's equal to button press or button release. Right, so this one, right, so translating it from the, oh, this is the mouse wheel and, okay. So the problem with X11 is that the mouse wheel, right, so this is why X input 2 might be better. Because they're just seen as buttons. So you just get a -1 or you don't get like a smooth scroll. Because some hardware supports maybe like a smoother scrolling. That's interesting. What about the, what do they call it? Hmm. Scroll class, scroll type increment. Maybe they have, maybe this is it. Maybe this is increment, it's like a double. Yeah, so they might have like smooth scrolling stuff with some of this. Maybe. Just, so maybe that is an improvement. So let's just give us a little bit of a rework. It's 32 times 2, rel pos. Pos.y. Pos.x. Only process the scroll wheel on pressed. In X11 scroll wheel simulated as a button. Rel pos. Right, so then this is just button stuff here. We'll get rid of some of these breaks that I see dotted about. Okay, looking good. So, if it's button press or button release, if it's above 4, if it's greater than or equal to 4 and less than 7, or less than or equal to 7, and it's a press, so we ignore the release. In this case, right? So release just gets completely ignored. So this is the scrolling stuff, right? So it's the mouse wheel moved. We've got to make sure these X and Y's are the right way around that we want, because I don't know what way it is, so we've got to test that out. Then if it's not, it's one of these mouse buttons, and that'll be 1, 2, 3, and 8 and 9. That's backwards and forwards in the X button stuff, right? So now, and then we call this mouse button changed, and we give it our button when we translate it. And then we say if it's pressed or not, basically. Okay, so now we've hooked that all up. Let's go into, wait, so that's button move. Yeah, so let's just double check we've got them all in. Moved, we did the moved one, right? We did button press and release. Wheel, yes, we've just done that one. We've done the enter and leaves and that. Excellent. So we're just gonna go ahead and implement these guys now. So one thing that we want to do is make sure that whatever you pass in, so where's that clamp? Right, I was looking in the wrong thing when I, silly. So what we want to do is that when you're in here, just clamp this result for us, right? So position equal, and we just make a new one, and be position.x. And we just clamp it inside the bounds of the window. Super nice. So the next thing we want to do is these guys, just give it whatever. Now the issue is if this is a negative, and then you go towards the relative is going to be a bit strange in this case. So, or if it goes outside the bounds of the window, the relative here is not going to be 0 anymore. right? So the problem is mouse moved. So maybe we do need to do the clamping. Just so the bounce manually here. But for this one, maybe not. Let's see if we can think of a way to not have this line here. Or make it not use the clamp anymore, was what I meant. Okay, so pass that in there. Keep going. So one more mouse moves, and that's when it actually moves. Now I don't need to do a clamp anymore. Excellent. So let's go into the window abstraction layer and let's find where we do that moved thing, right? For the mouse moved. Now, I want to go to that implementation. There we go. So we don't need this thing anymore about this focus, right? Well, we could say like if the key, yeah, I don't think we needed that because we tried it with the keyboard, it wasn't a problem. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So we get an OS event, we queue a new one up on the queue, and then we get the super nice mouse moved. No window. There is a mouse moved like substructure inside the union. Right, catch it out, Jim. Mega good to see you. Thank you for the tips today. Appreciate it. See you soon. So position.x, position.y, relative position, then pause, 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 pause. Right. So all we're doing, so they're signed anyway, so I don't have to care about this casting anymore. So what would see we should we just make everything signed in, especially for that the window width. Just make it signed. It's never unsigned though. But we have relative. You might have relative stuff, so you might want it signed. Let's make that signed. That'd be interesting. Because when you take the difference between it, you kind of want it signed, don't you? Alright, I have to think about that. So whenever we do that clamping thing now, we don't need to do the cast, at least. Makes that better. Which means in the Linux side of things, there's the clamp and cast. See if we can remove this. That would be really ideal if we can. So back to here again. We queue, and we put the type in there, right? Now all we're saying here is we're putting in the position that we got given, well, the clamped version of it at least, and then we're taking the difference from the current one that's stored in our global mouse state, and then after that we update the global mouse state. GOS pause equal pause, and then relative position. Then we're gonna sort of accumulate this. So it's kind of like add S32 times 2. We're gonna add. Remain compatible type int. What do you mean? Oh, we didn't have it included yet. Add S32. include hmath vector h. Okay, so we can just do that equal that. This will be sub S32 times 2. That from that. There we go. Less lines there. So that'll be pretty decent. Let's take a look at the mouse button change. This one's going to be doing stuff with that state that we've got, that global state, those bit sets. So let's just steal that code. Give a nice little refactor on top of that as well. Oh, I double clicked and did something. Right, so the mouse button has changed. Just grab this one, take a gander. Well, still in Don's title. I have YouTube evidence, Glass. How you doing? How you doing? Oh, how's the job? How's the new job doing? You passed the probation? No. Right, so if it's been pressed, we want to do the button pressed, button released sort of deal, right? Then you've got mouse button. You've got is pressed boolean. You've also got button bit set, as we're going to call it. Button bit set. So there's nothing else really there, right? Just those two things on the event. So plop that in there. And then if it is pressed, we or GOS, well, the word bit set on the end now, aren't we? Bit set. Yeah. Oh yeah, because it's called buttons. It's button now. Okay. So we've got the button bit set, and if it is pressed, we're simply going to OR our bits on for has been pressed. Sorry, if it is pressed and has been pressed, this frame. Bear in mind, this gets reset at the start of every frame. This has been pressed and has been released, right? But if it hasn't been if it's been released this event, then we take the bits off for is pressed, and then we obviously all the bits on for it has been released. And that's that. Super good. Now the final one is the mouse move. This is just similar to the mouse wheel move, similar to the mouse move. So we're simply just gonna add another event. Like so. The mouse wheel event. And we're just gonna do a mouse wheel relative position equal relative position. Oh, come on. Then we want to do a GOS mouse wheel pause. Huh? What? Oh, because I didn't call it a pause, did I? It's not really a... Oh well. Roll mouse wheel. Right, let's do pause. Roll mouse wheel pause equal add S32 times 2 this guy with that guy. We're just going to accumulate that, and it gets reset at the beginning of each frame. So if there's 3 events that come through for mouse wheel scroll in a single frame, they all get added together, and then you can check it in a single frame, the added version of them together later. Excellent. Right, so I think that's all plugged in now. That says everything plugged in. We have the ability to retrieve the state. Bear in mind, some of this stuff changed, so let's just quickly, yeah. It gets reset every frame. And we also have the ability to grab it back. Where's the ability? Oh, we didn't put those in there. Let's do that. Almost everything. Doing dandy. How's your bud? Good, yeah. Alright. Like 2 weeks away from finishing my probation period. Excellent. Got my quarterly one-to-one tomorrow. Over the team leader tomorrow. And good feedback. Sweet, sweet, sweet. I don't know what the stress drop Cody braces are. I have no idea. But yeah, good stuff, class. Good stuff. Yeah, doing good, man. Doing good. Just keeping busy and yeah, having fun. Do we chuck these in the? Oh, we ain't done it yet. We ain't done it yet. Right, in these go. Let's find where the read all is. Oh, okay. Sorry. Anyway, so this is just again. Don't think that's defined anywhere. Good. Just public getters. Encapsulation, yay. So return GOS.mouse.position and so on and so forth. So we're just gonna throw that all in there and return the stuff to the user. Relative wheeler position. Button is pressed bit set. Button has been pressed bit set. Button has been released bit set. And there you go. Right, so now I think that's everything. So what we want to do now is have a play and check if all of our new events fire. In a good way, right? Not set anything on fire, but just fire. So we want to check for mouse enter, mouse leave. So we just want to say like mouse enter. And then mouse leave. Leave. Keyboard. It's a new line after close brace, before else. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, I think if you program in Visual Studio, sometimes that's the default. I never know what is the default, because every time I swear I try and install Visual Studio, it's always different. Look at any Linux source code, that's pretty much the style. Great. Horrible. Hey there, what's up? Yeah, there's also the new line every whatever. Yeah. Ugh, horrible. Absolutely horrible. Right, keyboard enter, keyboard leave. We've got more stuff to wire in still, right? Because we've been busy. So the other events are the fact that we've got these mouse moved, all the bells and whistles. Oh yeah, Vim macros. So we want to say like, oh, mouse is moved. So we just want to give it like a position, right? So we'll just say X and a Y. So U and a U. Or we could do DD, right? But I don't know. So that'd just be like, oh, event dot or event key, no, mouse moved, position, X, Y, and there is a relative, right? So when I say ABS, rel, rel, rel. So it'll be good if we can have. So I don't think I'll delete this. I'll probably have this in a function in the OS thing itself, which basically just says print event, and it prints out to some to the terminal, right? So we're not going to just throw this thing away. It's very useful thing. So mouse button pressed, and we're just going to do the bits really. So it's like OX %X, right? So we've got mouse button. I know there's like an is pressed thing. So there's the bit set and then is pressed, but we've got released anyway, which tells us whether it's pressed or released. So yeah, we'll just do that. Now the wheel is just relative, right? So mouse wheel. It's got an X and Y to it, right? So I guess just do a rel. Mouse wheel, rel, delete the rest, and I think that's it, right? So let's have a bit of a play and see how it all looks. Doesn't all compile just yet. This is not the right thing. Right, we got some inconsistent. Excellent. So we're using signed now for the window size and all of this jazz. So it's an S32 now. Then clamp. Ugh. Signed and unsigned. The bane of existence. Right. I use a weird mix of what I like on my old job. Was like, okay. I love how you use a weird mix. It's like you've been infected by your job, and you're not doing what you like anymore. It's very weird. Right, so we're going to disable the rendering so we don't get all the lovely printf spam from the GPU shaders, right? So now we can have a play. So we're going to enter the mouse in the window, and well, bam, nothing happened. And that is because of we haven't subscribed to the event. Dun dun dun. Oh, I've still got Discord open. Right. So select event. So this is all the bits and bobs, bells and whistles that we need. We'll get all these. And we need to go into the Linux backend. Enter window mask, exposure mask. We don't need that one. Do we expose? No, we don't. Don't need that one. Structure notify. Yeah, we need that. Okay. Right. Let's do that one. Does it work on multiple windows? No, we didn't do that one. We didn't do multiple windows. Just because it keeps the code base a lot more simple for now, and means we can just crack on with R&D. In the future, if the game feels like it really needs multiple windows, or during development it might be like, yeah, multiple windows is a definite is is a very big increases our productivity, then we'll add it in. But until then, we're just gonna leave it out. So yeah. So we're gonna do a nice thing of 4 digits, I think. I was going to do 5 digits. I always get confused by this. So we'll just say 5 there, precision of 5, right? So we'll drop that in there. So that way, it won't go over the 1,000 or whatever. Yeah. So it'll pad it out nicely, so it doesn't shift around everywhere. And also maybe we'll stick a space in there, maybe. And that way. Looks a bit nicer, you see. Window resized, we say X. Can do a D, can do like a 4D there as well. Alright, let's have a play of all these. Okay, so that's obviously too many paddings. I don't know. How do you want to pad it then? Because you don't want the number jumping around really, do you? So yeah, we leave, got mouse leave, right? Mouse enter, right? Gives an absolute coordinate. Pretty cool. So going up gives us negative y, positive y is down, left negative, right positive. Now that's the thing, it's like what coordinate space do we want? Do we want a different one for 2D and then a different one for 3D, or do we want just the same coordinate space across both of them, right? So this is something we can think about. Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I don't know about this padding in here. Like, sure, having a space of 5 and whatever is. I think 5 is a bit too much. Probably 4 should be fine, but. Also, when it comes to padding. Yeah, it's just so it doesn't jump all over the place, you know? That's the reason why we do it. Let's try that. Yeah, it's a bit better. Now the relative one, I doubt you can do relative 1,000 anyway, so you might need relative 100. Like, you might need 3 digits anyway. So you can really bring that one down and make it a little bit nicer. Then for relative mouse, like you're probably only just gonna do like 1 digit at most anyway. So probably just doing D is fine. So right, there we go, that's better. So that's cool. So let's have a bit of a play around with all the stuff we got. So if I click on it, click out. So it's got keyboard enter there, keyboard leave. Okay, interesting. So if I alt tab, it's on the mouse leave and window keyboard leave. Alt tab, and then the keyboard enter, hover in, mouse enter, and then all this mouse move stuff. Excellent. If I click with the left mouse, that's 1. Click and a release, obviously it shows up as well. Right click, that's a 4, and I put them both together. Right, if I click this, it gives me the one that it is. Mouse, yeah. But then I can get a combined bit set of them all. Yep, that's right, that's right. So, okay, but it's called bit set. So it's like, what would be really nice, since we got the room, is just give both, right? Why are we skimping out on that? So we do this, let's just repeat it since it's only a byte anyway. And so, you know, here's the actual mouse button that was pressed this time, and here's the bit set for it. That would be good. So mouse. Wait, that's in this one. Yeah, so we'll give you the actual button, and then we'll also give you the bit set. So we'll give you what the current is pressed forward with the button. Okay, that'll be interesting. Button, so this is button, and then we'll have the button bit set. Okay, so let's have a release version of that. Right, it's a good improvement there. I'm not sure how much of this event stuff we'll use, but it's good to have it in anyway, because you never know what the game will be like. So click, you're gonna hold both. It's combined 1 and 4 together to give us 5, right? Then I release both, and anyway, they're both released. Wait a minute. ORing is not what you always want because of pressed. So what you really want to do is actually set it to it after this. What is it after? There we go. So I hold both, release both, then it's 0. There you go. It's now equal to 0. So after this event, what is it like? Good. So you got scroll wheel. Scrolling back gives me negative. Scrolling up gives me positive. Right, what other things do we need to test? I think that's all of the events now, isn't it? So you got wheels. Yeah, I haven't got another scroll wheel. Oh yeah, I've got mouse button. Forward and back, those also work. Clicking the mouse in as well. Mouse wheel in. Gives us something there as well. Excellent. Cool. So now the final thing to figure out is like this coordinate space, right? So I know, let's run one of those beautiful polls. Poll. So coordinate space. Oh, sorry, coordinate system. So basically, is it like, should we do... So origin bottom left, origin top left, right? Or, hi, my friend, how are you doing? Thank you so much. Oh yeah. Made it just in time for the streak as well. Excellent. Thank you so much for sub. Really appreciate it. Welcome, welcome. How's things been? But also like maybe you have like origin top left for UI and bottom left. Oh crap! Why? Give me more. Okay, so we mean like top left for UI and bottom left for UI top left and UI, 3D bottom left. Oh, there we go. So let's run that for about like 5 minutes and see what people think. I don't know. I'm kind of like, you know, I'm kind of stuck on it. Like, I think, like for UI, definitely top left seems good, especially when you have like a window and you're drawing a window, right? but bottom left generally represents like a graph, and especially in a 3D environment, bottom left as origin just seems like it makes the most sense. But yeah, finally made it. Work's driving me insane these days. Oh no, are you nearing a release of some kind or something? How's it been, mate? Yeah, going super good, man. Going super good. Super busy. Always in interesting and fun stuff. But yeah, just you know, yeah, preparing for preparing for the baby and yeah, tons of super busy. Probably gonna get even more busy. Yeah, it's how life is. Um, but yeah. Oh, I should be getting a month off with work soon with a baby, so hopefully I have a lot of time to go outside and take the baby with me and also touch some grass, you know. Pry myself away from the computer. The designer's trying to accelerate game releases, but not willing to work hard themselves. Oh. Hmm. Yeah, communication issues, I see. So imagine if this is the origin 00 up here. Right, when it comes to if you have like windows inside of your window, like it's easy just to be like, oh, you know, like especially when you start here and you say, yeah, but if you do like your title bar, but I think with the system I was gonna do, it's like it allows you to cut from the bottom or the top anyway, and knowing whether or not it's drawing from up here is kind of irrelevant. It's all about splitting rectangles. I think I want to do with my UI anyway. So I think actually it's not so bad because I think typically when people do UIs, they have the problem of like, well, if I was to resize this thing, like it's just easier to change the side, like, because you have top left and bottom right, or you have top left and size, right? And a size property or whatever you want to call it. Or a bottom right property, whatever which one it is, right? And you're simply resizing one variable here, right? You're resizing the variable for this or the variable for the size when you resize this window. Whereas if you've got bottom left origin and you're like this window sits at this bottom left place, when you drag the window, obviously you're just changing this variable here. That's fine. So when you drag this around, you just move this variable here. But when you resize the window, it means when you grab this, you have to change this position and this position, like half of this one and half of that one, or you have to change half of the position and the size or whatever. And I think this is where the difficulty comes from with having bottom left as origin in a 2D space. But yeah, I don't think that's too much of a problem, and it's just dealing with it is all. And having different coordinate systems might not really be worth it. I think having a single coordinate system is just better. Yeah, thinking about the problem. Maybe if someone's got some other ideas, let me know. But I think that's my thinking about it. Yeah, yeah, I can imagine that pie. There's probably quite a lot. Happens quite a lot, I imagine. Yeah, I guess you just have to try and be realistic with the designers and get them to understand how complicated some things are. But yeah, if the designers don't respect like understand or try and understand the thing, that's really bad, isn't it? Yeah. Or you know, if you say it's not possible, they should like believe you. You know, not be like, not try and do it anyway and force the idea down the pipe. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that bottom left one. Let's see how the origin bottom left run. One right. Interesting. How much by? Right. No one like the other ones. Okay, it's good to know. We haven't got many web programmers in here by the sounds of things. It's good. So what we're going to do is we're going to change how this works. So it's not too bad though. Remember when we scroll up the screen, it goes negative on this relative column here, or this rel one here. It goes negative on the y, right? So we just need to change that round the other way. So basically, where we find this, we just take that, delete that, and then paste it in there, and that should fix it. And then for the scrolling, right? I'll have a think about that. Let's so scroll. I go up. Wait a minute. Was that right? Oh, come on. Oh wait. This is the scroll wheel. Silly me. So the problem is the positional space. Also the position that's coming in via X motion or whatever. This is saying, right, we need to flip it based on the window whatevers. So this position itself, what X is reporting to us, is top left. Can you see? See this absolute position. So the Y up here is 0, Y down here is 600 odd. So we just need to flip that around the other way. So it's just flipping the Y. So we need to say gos.window.size.y, take away that. And then we clamp it. Then we need to do the same thing for when we get the mouse move here. And when we do mouse move here, right? So that's that problem solved. So now this is 600 odd up here, and down here it goes all the way down to 0. There you go. So then always to the right, 800. Excellent. Right, super good. So we go up, positive on the Y, down, negative on the Y on the relative side of things here, right? So up, positive, down, negative. Nice. Now the other thing we want to do is check this scroll wheel. So if I scroll my wheel towards me, like down, right, as you call it, you get a negative, right? So you expect to scroll, move down, so that's negative, that's correct. So if I scroll up, positive, which is the same as sort of moving up, right? That sounds good. That sounds good to me. Excellent. Right, I believe we did it, guys. I believe that's it's completed. So that right there is, so we're gonna, yeah, we're going to let's just quickly see if get the games to run. So there we go. So we're just gonna commit this code now. We'll slap a day on it as well. So commit-a. This is mouse, so add mouse support, and sort of like focus support, right? So mouse, keyboard, and mouse focus. So we're going to push that up. We're going to do one of those bash things and then do this silly dance, which I don't know, GitLab doesn't seem to, I don't know why. It works with GitHub. I've maybe got a couple of RSA keys and I can't seem to have multiple and it to work with fish for some reason. But anyway, problems. So for those who have access to the code, you can go and grab that now. We're going to do a quick tag on it. We'll tag day 15. 15 push origin tags. So we've still got some time left on the stream. What I want to do is take a look at this gamepad thing, do a bit of research, so when we do it next stream, we can just go in and have a bit of a smoother experience, right? So yeah, for those who don't have access to the code and want to get access to the code, you can either sub via Twitch, but if you want to send more of the monies my way, it's the same price, and you can support via Ko-Fi. There's an about in the about section you can see more, or you can go to this link and go into the Discord and take a look at those things there. So yeah, thanks to everyone who supports me already, and yeah, I'm just going to take a quick little 2-minute break, get a fresh glass of water, and then we'll research into gamepad support on Linux and see what that entails. So we're super ready for next stream. And yeah, right. Or maybe we can start it now. I don't know. Let's have a look. Right, we'll have a bit of a play at least. Do some research. So anyway, I'll be right back. All right, welcome back everybody. So let's have a little bit of a research session on how to do this gamepad stuff, and maybe we'll get started on it, right? So I believe I've searched for this before. So let's say like gamepad Linux in C. And I think there's like there's a handmade network forum post on it from a while back. So let's read this and have a bit of a look. So I'm interested in gamepad, whatever. I'm using libudev, and I'm able to find attached gamepads and detect whether they're connected or disconnected. Question is, best way to read button presses and axis movement. Currently, I'm not sure whether to use JS event or input event. In truth, I'm hoping check because it's the same. Yeah, so the suggestion here is to read, see how other people do it. Both of them use an input event apparently. But yeah, typically I go and look through SDL source code anyway, because it's always handy for this sort of stuff. But with SDL, they support like all these different configurations. So typically it's a bit of a sometimes a bit of a job to find like exactly which is the one you should be using. And then someone goes and comments here and says there's some documentation here, kernel, whatever. New clients are encouraged to switch to generic event, so the event device interface, not the JoyDev interface. So we'll read that in a second. Oh, I gotta love me a bit of auto. Oh, auto. Um, so apparently right. So maybe you might have to scan this directory to find the USB device, and then open the specific joystick. That'd be weird. By the way, where do you send? Where do I send you the source files? Excellent. You can drop them on the Discord. Just drop them in there. Drop them in the discussion chat channel for the game without an engine discussion channels. Just chuck it in there. If you've got, is it like a paste? Can you just chuck them in here? I think you can, right? Just chuck them in Discord. 5 of them. Yeah, should just do. Just chuck them in there, and we can have a look at them. That'd be excellent. Thank you so much for that. Amazing. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining. So then they read the event, and you get the size of input event. So yes, yeah, so it's typical, like you know, like when you read anything from the kernel, they do it over the file interface, right? So this might block. Oh no, it might not block. I don't think it's set to block actually. Yeah, non-block. Yeah. So read if it has anything, process it, and go over and process all the events, and then get the sticks and stuff. Interesting. That's interesting. So something that like SDL does, and I don't know what other libraries do, is they basically pretend it's like an Xbox 360 controller, and they map everything into being Xbox 360 things. So should we see what Linux kind of does, right? And you know, because I've seen like with SDL is people say, oh, it's structured this way, but when I take a look at like, it kind of sometimes copies what a certain operating system does. Like from what I remember, like the SDL2 sort of like event system at least, and windowing stuff, mostly seems to like follow like what X11 kind of looks like in a way, but like a lot cleaner. So I'm wondering if there's some overlap with some of the design for the game, how the gamepads work, maybe. So looking for input event, right? So just looking in the header for this, and we'll read that thing as well, that kernel.org page that was referenced. Is it expected that my game won't be able to support resolutions higher than my monitor? Is it expected that my game won't be able to support resolutions higher than my monitor in SDL2? I'm not sure what you mean, Xperia, because obviously you'd have to get the hardware to really test it out that it actually works. And that's the same with any like code path, is you should really have test the code path, and you need to get the equipment sometimes to do that. But really, SDL, when I say there is higher than my monitor, all of my texture services return SDL error, create texture. Oh, the actual texture. For a texture. That's weird. I don't know why they'll stop you having a texture higher than your resolution. That shouldn't be a limitation. There might be a limitation elsewhere, maybe. Like, maybe what sort of graphics card do you have? I don't think you're doing something. It might not be set up. Maybe it might not be set up properly. But let's just take a look at. I'm just going to take a look at the Vulkan GPU specs for that, and we'll just see if there's a limitation that's painfully obvious here that matches sort of your experience. Let's just look at the 9060 here. So we can just check some features, properties, text. Oh, it's image, isn't it? In Vulkan, image. Oh, they support 16K textures on that device in Vulkan at least. So I'm sure it'll be the same for OpenGL. But yeah, should be fine from a hardware point of view. I don't know. I can't. I don't know anything off the top of my head. But if anyone else has any suggestions, feel free. But my advice is just see if you can Google for it. Really. You're using the SDL2 renderer, right? Is it SDL2 renderer, isn't it? Right, so they get like a code. Type then code ABSX. Ooh, EV key, interesting. Oh, axes. Stick left, okay. BTNA. Ah, event codes. BTNA, BTN South. Amazing. Southeast. Right, so X is north. Wait, where's my Xbox controller? Is it here? I think it's still around my parents' place. No, I think it's somewhere else. Alright, we can just Google for it, obviously. Right. 360 controller. Do they do like an X at the top? Is that right? Yeah, X is at the top, isn't it? Then a Y. Want an image. No, Y at the top, then X. Yeah. Okay. So what Linux is saying here, BTNX is north. Yeah, the north, south, east, west is interesting way of saying it. But yeah, then they've got like triggers, but they do have very much like, you know, a basic gamepad thing here anyway. You know, they've obviously got more buttons though, far many more buttons, but they do have like a basic sort of gamepad thing here. Oh, and here's all the key stuff. Yeah, this could be. Hey, not so red. How you doing? Yeah, is it SL2 renderer? Have you got? Have you enabled the OpenGL support for the? Oh no, it's doing the direct D3D pool default. Okay, it's doing DirectX. Maybe you want to say like SDL2 renderer max texture size. Just have a look at that quick. So I tested max texture size. I can have is there's 23 textures of this by this. How do I get around the video memory limitations? Blah 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 blah. Right. So someone's saying they've got quite big texture dimensions. Oh, okay. You know, so the fact that you can't go higher. Maybe, are you talking about, oh, is this the texture that you're, is this like the, display texture, maybe. Maybe it's got a flag in it to say it's like a display texture and it will limit it to the size of your monitor, maybe. So if you upload a texture that's bigger than that, it might not work. So if you look at the create texture, maybe it might, I think that's what you might be doing. I don't know the API though. Format, access, streaming. Can be used as a render target. Right. Have you got that enumeration on, right? Because if you got a target on, they might be like, it can't be bigger than the... I don't know, maybe. No, because render targets you can have whatever size you want, really. As long as it's in the bounds. I don't know. But yeah, just some ideas there. Yeah, doing good, not sorry, doing good. We just aced some keyboard and mouse input stuff now. So we've got all of these events working. Mouse move, mouse button press, release, mouse wheel, key press, key release, text input, so we get some UCF8 text coming in. Window resized, we can tell when the close button is pressed. Mouse focus, keyboard focus. So we've got all that in, we've tested that all out. We also have, yes, we're just looking at the gamepad stuff because we're doing the gamepad next stream. We might make a tiny start on it, I don't know. But we're just having a bit of an investigation. But yeah, we're going to be working on the Windows one after we've done the gamepad. Could be that they don't like textures bigger than the surface. I don't know, not Ransel, because we just did a Google and people were reporting that they can't have it bigger than 16K or 8K. But that's bigger than his surface for sure, right? Right, so it seems if we can get these input events, it seems damn easy, right? So if we just have our own sort of like Xbox 360 type of controller thing, a bit like what SDL does, right? Then we just map to this. It seems pretty legit, right? I should be able to plug in any controller. So here's a PlayStation 5 controller. Let's see if we can figure out. So I'm just gonna get this plugged into my computer. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. And we're gonna do this LS thingy majig that we're gonna see if we can pick this up. You wrote Major C compiler. Do you have your own non-C standard C extensions? Yeah, we have a few to get like interacting with GPU specific things, right? But there's not many language things. Oh no. Is there sound coming through here? It's like vibrating like crazy. Is it really? Oh my days. I'm talking to you through the PS5 controller. Can you see it vibrating? Anyway, let's sort this out. It's literally vibrating. It's full sense craziness right now. The music is playing through the controller and it's vibrating. I'm putting it on the table and I can hear the sound of the music through the vibrations on the table. It's not an advertisement, I promise. What? Anyway, I'm trying to just get this thing to come back. It's like hijacked everything. Line A, what about line B? Boom, boom, boom. Yes. Alright, we're back. So, but my desktop audio is going out through my DualSense controller and vibrating on the table. It's just amazing. You have to try this out. I want to make it louder. That's crazy. Anyway, we're gonna put this back. So what am I doing? I want it to go out to. Right, now I can hear it here. Okay. That was a trip. Okay, but anyway, now my PlayStation 5 controller with all the bells and whistles is plugged back in. So now I want to see, like, let's see if we can see it here. So I know there's like a UDEV thing. Is there like a UDEV? LSB USB, isn't it? Oh, look at me. I know my Linuxes. Anyway, let's get out of Bash, because, yeah. There's, so there's a Sony Corp USB, sorry, DualSense wireless controller. So this is the thing, right? So let's also then look at ls dev input. There's like a by ID, by path. So there's a by ID. So I've got my optical mouse, and then I've got some USB Sony Entertainment, whatever, right? Okay. Joystick event. Wait, which one do they want? The joystick event 19. Okay, interesting. How much does C compiler to write your own custom off generation of these used? Yeah, it's C to SPIR-V, so we didn't do any ELF file stuff. So it's kind of just like to a compiler IR. But I wrote the whole compiler though, like from scratch. OMC preprocessor, tokenizer, AST generation. We've got our own abstract machine language or compiler IR, if you want to call it that. Then we translate that into SPIR-V, which is a IR for GPUs, and then that gets given to the driver through Vulkan, and then the driver takes that and compiles it when you make your pipelines in Vulkan. So, and then they probably use LLVM internally to lower it even further to actual machine code, and then run it on the GPU. Yeah, so that's what we do. So open it. So now we kind of want to figure out, like, how do we because they're just opening this. So when we open it, we know it's pretty straightforward. But it's like figuring out how to open it. So what is the best way on Linux to find find joysticks or something like this? Joystick in C. What is the best way to read? There's a nice little gist here apparently. Right, this looks old because it's the JS event, but do they have a way of finding? So they have dev input, JS whatever, but we don't want this dev input. Right, so we could do joystick, but what we want is we want event, because it's input event, that new input event thing. So we could go over all these events, right? But this doesn't get you. So there's also by path. And path gets you this though. So that gets you this PCI USB this. Right, so we wanted so Sony wireless controller 20. Wait, 19. You can use it as a mouse apparently, but we wanted 19. So event 19 is this one. So there's an event joystick. So we could parse the name and just be like, does it end in joystick? And go over every file in a folder, right? But is there a better way? So we could just look at the SDL source code, right? Should we clone some SDLs and have a look that way? So let's get out of here. Git clone. Just take a look at the source code. See how they solve this problem. Could be the way we just thought about, but maybe not. I think it's by UDev or something. Oh, is it? That'd be interesting. UDev. Let's take a look at that. So UDev get joystick in C, something like that. I know we was just on this one. Oh, they use UDev get device property input joystick. Ooh. Ooh. Right. And then we can use that to then open up the file. Oh, yeah, there was this, wasn't it? This docs thing. Programming interface. So it's the modern way suggests that the mod to use evdev. So joystick is legacy, okay. Alright, forbidden access, my favorite. Yeah, JS is the wrong one though. The old one. I've written an imsGLSL compiler before, but not the front end part or all the macro. Nice. Yeah. Super great when you can share, write in the CPU language for the GPU, because you can share code and it's just amazing. So, by the looks of things, we can look at udev. So user include udev. Let's see if we've got anything for that. Where's the udev headers then? We could have just manned for that, libudev. .h. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Right, so we're trying to get some form of... So get device property value and doing a string compare 1. Huh. So anyway, let's just scan through this header and see what we can see. So you create some sort of new context or something and get next entry list. You can get some entry thing or whatever. You can get a name and a value for it. So that might be an interesting thing. There's a device thing. Get device ref, new system. Right, we've got to find like joysticks and stuff. Right, should we take a look at the SDL code quick and just see if there's anything there. So cd SDL vim, right, what we're looking at. Is there a source directory or something? Source. So I guess we want to go into some form of like back-end code. But I think it's per subsystem, isn't it, in there? They do have like joystick. Let's take a look at joystick, because I know the gamepad is built on top of joystick in SDL. Yeah. So let's look at the Linuxes. Bear in mind, I don't know if there's like a shared Unix one, because they might share some of it. There's no shared like udev or anything. USB IDs. Right, it's good. There's a USB IDs thing. What's that like? Right, so got like a vendor ID thing. But they've only got so many of them. There's a vendor and there's a product. Okay, it's interesting to know. So there's vendor IDs and process. Okay. So let's take a look at source joystick. Let's go into the Linuxes then and take a look at some of the... Let's take a look at the header quick. excuse me. You can read proc bus input devices, can't you? Then check for a bit responsible for game compatibility or something. Right, showing code. There's a big reason for it, but also generated all the code for uniforms and attributes, not much more getting. Yeah. That's true. Also metadata too, that's right. I thought proc was only for the current process. Proc bus input devices. Not ls, we're doing cat it. Alright, oh my days. Yeah, it's a lot of string parsing though. It's possible though. It's definitely a way with, but I guess we can access this directly through a programming interface, you know, without string parsing it. But that's interesting. So there's like the Sony controller. There's motion sensors, touchpad, and there'd probably be a joystick part to it as well. Event 19, that was the one joystick. So, yeah, interesting. Right. So, they do like joystick hardware data. They use the Linux input header. I wonder if they use UDEV at all. Right, so let's do a new tab. Well, let's do the C file. So Linux EV. Right. So they've got this Linux EV, so it's event dev, right? Oh, so they only use that now. Interesting. So trigger happy. Okay. So what we're thinking is like we want. So when they have this sort of maybe add device, right? So I guess so udev callback, so that you can check whether something's been added or not. That's interesting. So your callbacks, udev type. What is that? They got like a device added udev thing. SDL udev. I don't understand. Have they got like do they not include the udev header directly, but have their own or something? Key is a bit sequency. Figure out if it's gamepad or not. As far as I recall, there is an article about it. Let me try and find it. Here it is. Awesome. Yeah, but I don't want to be passing files though. Nice one, VMT. Thank you for coming. Yeah, I'll see you in a future one. Have a good rest of your week. I'll maybe see you Thursday. Yeah, I don't want to be parsing a string though. Yeah, there's a game or BTN gamepad is a constant to find in here. Yeah, I don't want to be reading strings. Yeah, but I think there's a way to directly access what makes that. Yeah, I know it is like that for some cases, like some of the virtual memory stuff, you do need to do that. But I think with this udev thing, it's sort of like, well, either it parses the proc file or it's the thing that makes the proc file, whichever way around it is, right? So yeah. So they've got this sort of callback thing they do. Add udev callback. What the? So if I was to go back into udev, they don't have callbacks in here at least. So what is that set callback? Enumerator lib udev. So they've got this. So we're going to grep in there, yeah? So grep for SDL udev callback. Oh, come on. Add callback. So we've got an SDL, EV. Okay. So they've got an EVDev and a UDev thing. So let's take a look at those files. So source call Linux SDL UDev. So should we look at the header file as well, just quick? They've just got like an API. Private day, they have the UDev context and monitor thing. They've got some symbols that they dynamically load from the library, I imagine. Right, so these are the ones that they used. They just, so instead of linking against it, they dynamically link against it. Because that's the way SDL does things, right? All of the dependencies are like optional, and they dynamically load it and pull the function pointers in and just call it. Obviously, not all of them are optional. Sometimes things end up being required, but that's how they do everything. So what's interesting is they have their callback thing, or their add callback. So basically, they allocate some new callback and then they link list it, right? So here's the callback. Process the callbacks. So when is this called? Device event. So they get the dev node. Right, what is this? Right, so do a poll. So they hot plug updates available. And this is like doing something else, where it uses the monitor file descriptor, checks to see if so it reads the file descriptor and checks something, I guess. Makes sense. And then it checks over receive the device get action. If the action is add or remove device. Okay. So there's device actions and states that you can have. So that's when you sort of plug the device in, and I guess you're able to get more information about this specific. You get a pointer to the UDEV's device structure. Nice. So then you can check to see if that device is something that you have in your system. So in case there's joysticks, there's even sound devices, touchscreens, mice. Right. And then that, I guess, is filtered through into some callback. Right, so you can detect mice and keyboards being plugged in with UDEV. Yeah. Yeah, that's correct. So they can do it without yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that's their class that they have. It's their own custom thing. Yeah, so the thing is SDL doesn't actually, from you can't distinguish multiple mice or keyboards in SDL. Um, right. But theoretically you can. Right. And it's interesting, right? In games, why don't they do that? So I think in X11, if you take a look at the X11 stuff, right? X11 like XKB. When you get some of these XKB extensions, XKB things, surely you can get like a surely you could get maybe a Where's the structures? Of course, I'm in the wrong file for it. Surely you could get maybe some udev sort of like ID or something that you could map it to in some way. Proto maybe? Yeah. So there's like select events, get state. See, there's like a device. No. What about like a key press or something? No, but there's a key press in the. Let's go back to my OS Linux thing. There was like so you do a button press, not button press, key press. That's what we're looking for. Can you go to the state? Perfect. So I don't think if there's anything that actually identifies which serial the last encrypted server. See, it doesn't have the information here. It doesn't tell you like the specific, like if it's a specific keyboard of some kind. But I imagine if you use this one, action message, there's a device ID, but it's only an 8-bit integer. But yeah, so maybe you can get an action message and get something. From there in some way. But yeah, that's too much work. But yeah, so it's interesting if you did have a full-on like UDEV interface and sort of you could pick up these different devices. You could, keep note of, I've got this keyboard attached, these mice attached, these game pads and things. But we don't have like it'd be interesting from a point of view of like, well, maybe someone's got like two different keyboards attached to their computer, and you can sort of like one player have one and one player have the other one. Not that it'll get much use, but it's an interesting thing. So I guess we can actually use this udev library to actually do what we want. The interesting thing though is figuring out how to query stuff that's already attached. So when it boots up the system, what does it do? Does it poll it right away? That sort of thing. The game World of Goo is multi-mouse support on Linux. I did play that way in the multiplayer, and it required to run the game with sudo, a special flag in the center. I can't remember. He uses dev input mice because the older than udev maybe could be. That's funny. Oh wow, that's interesting, X Banky. Wow. I didn't realize. Yeah, I've never really bothered to try it, but yeah, it's interesting. Maybe we can see, can we? Because I know on the Windows side of things, it seems like two people in the chat today were pointing me towards using this raw input thing, which basically gives us hardware interface device IDs and stuff. Like stuff like this. So maybe it might be interesting. Should we sort of like explore maybe doing this with the keyboards, and then it will be because the gamepads is going to use this stuff anyway. Excellent, thank you, Nadilo. Yeah, Nadilo is one of the people. So he's given me some files on Discord to help me with this this when we do the Windows port. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. So I think with this udev thing, maybe we can think for like xlib udev keyboard, right? Is there a way to sort of like find something with like the key that got pressed? Did it come from this keyboard or that keyboard? That, you know, maybe you don't care. A lot of the time, you just want a key. You can pass in like a null keyboard ID, and it does any keyboard, right? I don't know if that's too complicated, but your argument didn't have a gamepad anyway. So I think it's assigning controller. So we kind of want to like. So we want to find a way to sort of like maybe like XKB C get device ID or something like that. There's some device ID thing, but it's only U8, right? But I don't think that's going to be. Because you've got this sort of like X input list, maybe we can look at. So if you do like your udev devices or whatever, surely got like a keyboard in here. Search for Apple or something, right? Your Apple keyboard exposed. So you see that it is a key. Wait, where is it? Like LS USB on it, right? You got some little ID thing here, and there's like an Apple one, right? So if we like, if we then do this sort of like X input thing, not X input, is it ID 23? It's not what we want. We want a way to like get the X list props device node X input. So maybe it's an X input thing. X input list props. Oh, I need some packages. Right, let's get the Pac-Man out. Xorg. X input. So if I don't have it installed, that's 1 point whatever as well. Is there like an X? 1.6. I don't know if that's a good idea. But yeah, we want to try and find some way of asking X for like the keyboards. So like X11 list keyboards or something like that. So if we can find a mapping between the two different systems, then it should be quite. LSUSB. You know, maybe can it fit in a single byte? No, it can't, because that's 1 byte, isn't it? Yeah, no. So it can't be that. Gives you layouts. Nope. It's not what I want. So proc bus input devices, it is. No. Wait, does that get you the X side of things? Bus vendor product. See, that's kind of interesting, but yeah, because that gets you what this is, right? But on a way to view the keyboard. Set key map, keyboard switch, keyboard layout, state printers. I want to retrieve it. Using set, no, locale, whatever. Set, we're not doing set, we want to find, we want to query. A bit like how you can do X rand R and just get all your display stuff. I want like an X keyboard thing. XKB. Maybe it's not X keyboard, but X11 list input devices. X list. Oh, you know. X input list. It has these IDs though. Okay, we need to get this X input thing, but also what has X input 2? Huh, I'm a bit confused there. Right, let's get this package. Sudo pacman -s xorg -x input. Yes, please. Right, so X input. Was it list? Right, so we get our keyboard, but it's just got an ID of 8 or 9. That's not useful. It has the string name though. But the string name, it doesn't match, right? It just doesn't match this or this. So that's not useful either. So there's list props. So properties for a device. So if we list for 8, which is the keyboard, what we get is all of this. So there's device node. Oh, there we go, 16. So that's what we want. So then it means we can match. Okay, so is it X input that we need? So maybe we can have the extension for X input. But then, why is this like a version 1 though? Oh, so server version 2.4. Okay, good to know. So that means then we should be able to use X input, xi2, but it was xi2 or X input, this one. So we want a way to like query. So I still don't. Yeah, so you get your ID from. The thing is there's no ID when you get a key event. There's no ID in here, is there? Right? Which kind of sucks. So it's as if we need to subscribe to the keyboard XKB. This is like rocket science. xkb xkb proto, right? And there's like an action one, isn't there? We got to look into this action thing. Action message, because there's like if it's pressed or not, right? And there's a key code in there. So maybe we just use this. There's a device ID. Then we can use that device ID to map to then get the device ID properties, because you can do list props, right? Then you can use that to get yourselves some things. So the interesting thing is with then input 2 is to find the properties. Property event. So not property event, list properties. This is it, right? So you go device ID 8, number of properties to return. It gives you atoms back. Oh boy, so atoms are deduplicated strings, right? So you're going to get a deduplicated list of strings. Can I get the device node somehow? Get property, atom property. Right, so I need to get the atom. So list all of the properties that you can get for it. Then I need the atom for... But yeah, it's as if we want to... I think we've got to use this API. So we want to try and find the... So what's the thing we get back in the... list? Where is it? List. This one. Device node. Right, so I guess you want to somehow say like xlib x input get device node from ID. I guess like in C, right? So I guess we can see how, we'll just see how the source code works for x input list props, right? So I guess we'll just look at the source code of how this works, and that'll tell us how to use the API. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Excellent. Right, I got some ideas. So that's interesting endeavor. So I think what we're going to try and do next stream, we are going to do gamepad support, but we're going to start off by trying to see if we can get these keyboards to give us back, like, to know what keyboards are attached and what mice are attached with this X input thing. And then we can use udev to sort of like, no. Yeah, we can use udev to figure out what devices are attached, including keyboards and mice. And then use X input in combination with xkb to get back proper events that we can then do a lookup with the udev stuff we have, and then know like exactly what device it's using, and then that way in the game we should be able to have distinct keyboard and mice assigned to certain players or whatever, which it just makes the thing more complete. And it would just, because the gamepads are doing it anyway, so why not just do it with a keyboard and mice? It'd be interesting. So it'd be a bit of fun. All my days, I can control it with my PlayStation controller. It's got everything. Okay, awesome. Let's find somebody to raid because it's getting late here. Right, yeah, so if you guys want to catch up on any of the VODs, there's a VOD channel. Also, yeah. That's about it. Oh, no problem, player. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate you all coming. Let's quickly find someone to raid. If it doesn't work out, we will. Any CPPs? Any Cs? Do I see any Cs? Finally, they made it easy to go to the. Hey, why have I just got a game development tag? What happened to my tags? I'm just a game dev now. Do they not like my tags? My tags offensive. I don't know. I just had C in the. There's a CPP down here. There's also French. Oh, there's a CO2 software. He does C++. Let's shoot. Right. Have a good rest of your week, everyone. I'll see you Thursday, 6:30 p.m. GMT, and Sunday. Those are the times. So yeah, I'll see you in a future one. Thank you for coming. And have a great evening. Bye-bye. Alright, see you later. Bye-bye.